Welcome back to La Coins World. Washington quarter dollar 1967 coins, $1.9 million coins. 1967 Washington quarter dollar. What if one of the most valuable coins in your collection isn't made of gold, isn't more than 100 years old, and isn't hiding inside a museum, but is instead sitting unnoticed in an old jar of pocket change? Every day, millions of people spend quarters without looking at them, believing they're all worth just 25 cents. But experienced coin collectors know a different story. They understand that certain quarters, even those that appear ordinary at first glance, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars because of their condition, rarity, or unusual minting errors. Today's coin is one of the most interesting examples from the modern era of American coinage. The 1967 Washington quarter may look like an ordinary piece of change, but it has a fascinating history that continues to attract collectors around the world. Before you spend another quarter, you may want to examine it carefully because this coin could be far more valuable than you ever imagined. The 1967 Washington quarter was produced during an unusual period in United States mint history. Unlike most Washington quarters, this coin does not carry a mint mark. That wasn't because it was struck at only one location. Instead, the U.S. Mint intentionally removed mint marks from all coins produced between 1965 and 1967. At the time, the nation faced a serious coin shortage, and officials believed collectors were saving coins based on their mint marks instead of spending them. The Washington quarter itself features the classic portrait of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan. On the reverse, the traditional American eagle stands proudly with wings spread, holding arrows and olive branches to symbolize both strength and peace. This iconic design remained in use for decades and became one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history before the introduction of the state quarters program in 1999. More than 1.5 billion Washington quarters were produced during 1967, making it one of the highest mintage quarter issues ever released. Because of this enormous production, circulated examples are still commonly found today and usually carry only their face value. However, as every experienced collector knows, mintage alone does not determine value. Some of the most desirable coins come from years with large production numbers because exceptional examples become surprisingly difficult to find over time. Condition is one of the biggest factors affecting the value of a 1967 Washington quarter. Most surviving examples spent decades in circulation, collecting scratches, wear, dents, and other signs of everyday use. These worn coins are common and generally worth only 25 cents. However, coins that escape circulation shortly after leaving the mint remain much scarcer. Brilliant uncirculated examples with original mint luster, clean surfaces, and sharply defined details are highly desirable among collectors. Strike quality also plays an important role. Even during periods of massive coin production, not every quarter was struck equally well. Some 1967 quarters display weak hair details on Washington's portrait or soft feather details on the eagle. Others were struck with exceptional precision, showing crisp lettering, fully defined design elements, and attractive overall appearance. These well-struck coins naturally attract greater interest from serious collectors. One of the most exciting areas of collecting involves mint errors, and the 1967 Washington quarter offers several possibilities. During the high-speed production process, mistakes occasionally occurred that created unusual coins. One of the best-known error types is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not perfectly positioned beneath the dies before striking, leaving part of the design missing. Depending on how dramatic the error is and whether the date remains visible, these coins could be worth many times their face value. Another fascinating error is the double strike. This occurs when a coin is struck more than once without being properly ejected from the press. The resulting overlapping images create dramatic visual effects that immediately catch the attention of collectors. Every double-struck coin is unique, making these pieces especially desirable. Broad strike errors represent another collectible possibility. Normally, a retaining collar surrounds the coin during striking, giving it its proper diameter and reeded edge. If the collar fails, the coin expands outward, creating a larger than normal quarter without the standard edge reads. Such errors are uncommon and often command strong premiums, depending on their condition. Perhaps the most dramatic errors involve wrong planchets. Occasionally, a quarter design is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination. These mistakes are exceptionally rare because modern mint quality control procedures are designed to prevent them. Nevertheless, a few examples have escaped into circulation over the years, becoming prized treasures among error coin collectors. Another feature worth checking is double die varieties. Unlike machine doubling, which usually adds little collector value, a genuine double die originates during the manufacturing of the die itself. This results in noticeable doubling on letters, numbers, or design details. Authentic double die varieties are much scarcer than ordinary machine doubling and often become highly sought after once properly identified. Many collectors mistakenly believe cleaning improves a coin's value, but the opposite is usually true. Polishing or scrubbing a 1967 Washington quarter removes its original surface and creates fine scratches that permanently reduce its desirability. Professional collectors strongly prefer coins with untouched original finishes, even if natural toning has developed over time. Original surfaces preserve both authenticity and long-term collector appeal. Storage is equally important. Coins should always be handled carefully by their edges to avoid fingerprints and oils damaging the surfaces. Protective holders, archival quality flips, and hard plastic capsules provide excellent long-term protection. Proper storage helps preserve the coin's condition and prevents environmental damage that could lower its future value. Although millions of 1967 Washington quarters were produced, exceptional examples remain surprisingly scarce. Coins with flawless surfaces, vibrant mint luster, outstanding strike quality, and high professional grades continue attracting strong competition whenever they appear at major auctions. Likewise, rare mint errors can command remarkable prices because each one represents a unique mistake that escaped the mint's inspection process. The historical significance of the 1967 quarter also adds to its appeal. It represents the final year of the temporary mint mark suspension introduced during the nationwide coin shortage. Beginning in 1968, mint marks returned to American coinage, making the 1967 issue a lasting reminder of one of the most unusual periods in U.S. mint history. This unique background gives the coin an added level of interest beyond its collectible value alone. Searching for valuable 1967 quarters remains an exciting challenge because they can still be found in circulation, inherited collections, old piggy banks, and bank coin rolls. Unlike many famous rare coins locked away in private collections, this issue still offers ordinary people the possibility of making an unexpected discovery. Every handful of change could contain a beautifully preserved example or even a rare mint error waiting to be recognized. If you own a 1967 Washington quarter, examine it closely under good lighting. Look for brilliant original luster, strong design details, clean surfaces, unusual doubling, off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, or other unusual characteristics. Compare it with ordinary examples and pay attention to anything that appears different. If your coin seems exceptional, having it evaluated by a reputable professional grading service may reveal that it is worth much more than its face value. The 1967 Washington quarter proves that valuable collectibles do not always come from centuries past or from precious metals. Sometimes history, outstanding preservation, and rare production mistakes combine to create a coin that collectors eagerly pursue. What appears to be an ordinary quarter could actually represent a remarkable piece of American numismatic history. The next time you receive change at a store, empty an old coin jar or sort through a family collection. Don't overlook the 1967 Washington quarter. One careful inspection could uncover a hidden treasure that has remained unnoticed for decades, reminding us that in the fascinating world of coin collecting, extraordinary discoveries often begin with the coins that everyone else takes for granted. Welcome back to 1989 des Washington Quarter Dollars. What if I told you that a simple quarter sitting in your pocket, hidden inside an old piggy bank, or forgotten in a kitchen drawer, could be worth hundreds, or even thousands of dollars? Most people never give a second thought to the coins they spend every day. They toss them into vending machines, leave them in cup holders, or hand them over as loose change without ever looking twice. But collectors know a secret that many people still don't. Sometimes an ordinary-looking coin can become an extraordinary treasure, and today's coin is a perfect example. Stay with me until the end because this 1989 D Washington quarter has surprised collectors for years, and one tiny detail can make the difference between a common 25-cent coin and a valuable collectible that could be worth far more than its face value. The 1989 D Washington quarter was produced at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark found on the obverse, just to the right of George Washington's ponytail ribbon. Designed by John Flanagan, this classic quarter features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the front, while the reverse displays the majestic eagle with its wings spread wide, clutching arrows and olive branches, representing both military strength and peace. This design served the United States for decades before the state quarters program began in 1999, making the 1989 D quarter one of the final issues from the original Washington quarter design era. The Denver Mint struck well over 800 million of these quarters in 1989, meaning that under normal circumstances, the coin is not considered rare. Millions entered circulation, and many remain in use even today. Because of this enormous production, circulated examples usually carry only their face value of 25 cents. However, experienced collectors understand that rarity is not always determined by mintage numbers alone. Condition, striking quality, mint errors, and unusual varieties can transform an ordinary coin into something collectors eagerly search for. One of the first things collectors examine is the coin's overall condition. A heavily worn quarter with faded details generally has little premium, but a coin that has somehow escaped circulation for decades can be much more desirable. Brilliant original luster, sharp details in Washington's hair, crisp lettering, and clean surfaces all contribute to a higher grade. Professional grading services evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with Mint State 70 representing a perfect example. While achieving such a grade is extremely difficult, even coins graded MS66, MS67, or higher can command impressive prices if they possess outstanding eye appeal. Strike quality is another important factor. Although the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters, not every coin was struck with equal precision. Some pieces display weak details, while others exhibit exceptionally sharp features. Collectors often pay extra for coins showing bold hair details on Washington, fully defined eagle feathers, and strong lettering. These characteristics indicate a well-struck example that stands out from the average coins produced during the same year. Another fascinating error involves double strikes. This occurs when a coin receives more than one strike from the dies, creating overlapping images. These dramatic mistakes are highly collectible because every example is different. Some double-struck quarters display obvious duplicated designs that immediately catch the eye, making them especially desirable. Die cracks and die chips also appear on some 1989 D quarters. As dies wear out after striking thousands of coins, small cracks can develop, leaving raised lines or unusual lumps on the finished coin. While minor die cracks may not add much value, larger or more dramatic examples often become collectible varieties that enthusiasts actively search for. Collectors should also inspect the edges and lettering carefully. Broad strike errors occur when the retaining collar fails during striking, allowing the coin to spread beyond its normal diameter. These unusual pieces lack the standard reeded edge and can sell for substantial premiums, depending on their appearance and rarity. Perhaps the most exciting discoveries involve wrong planchet errors. On rare occasions, a quarter design may accidentally be struck on a blank intended for another denomination. These mistakes are exceptionally uncommon and often sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars because they represent dramatic production errors that escape the mint quality control. Many collectors use magnifying glasses or digital microscopes to inspect their quarters for double dies. A double die occurs when a working die itself receives a slight misalignment during manufacturing, resulting in noticeable doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. Genuine double die varieties are highly sought after because the doubling originates from the die rather than simple machine vibration during striking. Professional grading can dramatically influence a coin's market value. Two quarters that appear nearly identical to the untrained eye may have very different prices if one grades MS65 and the other achieves MS67 or MS68. Tiny marks, luster quality, strike sharpness, and surface preservation all affect the final grade. Because top-grade modern quarters are surprisingly difficult to find, certified high-grade examples often bring impressive auction results. Storage also plays a major role in preserving value. Coins should never be cleaned, polished, or rubbed. Cleaning creates tiny scratches that permanently damage the original surfaces and usually lowers collector value. Even a coin that appears brighter after the 1989 D Washington quarter reminds us that valuable coins are not always ancient or made of silver. Sometimes a relatively modern coin becomes desirable simply because exceptionally preserved examples are scarce, or because rare mint errors escaped into circulation. That is exactly why collectors continue examining rolls of quarters from banks, checking inherited coin jars, and searching pocket change every single day. The thrill of discovery keeps the hobby alive, and every coin has the potential to tell an unexpected story. Auction records have shown that ordinary circulated examples remain worth only face value, but superb certified mint state specimens and spectacular mint error coins have sold for hundreds and, in exceptional circumstances, even thousands of dollars. These prices demonstrate that condition and rarity matter far more than age alone. A coin produced in 1989 can easily outperform much older coins if it possesses the right combination of quality and uniqueness. If you own a 1989 D Washington quarter, take a close look before spending it. Check for brilliant original luster, sharp details, unusual doubling, off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, or any feature that appears different from an ordinary. Coin collecting is about much more than money. Every coin represents a small piece of history, a snapshot of American manufacturing, and a reminder that remarkable treasures can hide in the most ordinary places. The 1989 D Washington quarter continues to capture the attention of collectors because it proves that even a common-looking coin deserves a careful inspection. The next time you receive change at a grocery store, gas station, or local shop, don't rush to spend those quarters. One careful glance could reveal a hidden collectible that others have overlooked for decades. That is the excitement of a hobby, and that is why millions of collectors continue searching through everyday coins, hoping that the next quarter they pick up will be the one that changes everything. If you'd like, I can also write similar 1,200-word scripts for other Washington quarters in the same storytelling style for your Hardest Penny channel. Welcome back to 1984 des Washington Quarter Dollars. Imagine reaching into your pocket after buying a cup of coffee, pulling out a handful of change, and unknowingly holding a coin that could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. It sounds unbelievable, but stories like this have happened to lucky collectors and everyday people alike. Most of us spend quarters without giving them a second glance, assuming they're all worth exactly 25 cents. However, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and sometimes the smallest details can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary treasure. Today's coin is one that millions of Americans have handled over the years, yet only a small number of people know what makes certain examples so valuable. If you have a jar of old coins, a collection passed down from a family member, or even loose change sitting around your home, you may want to pay close attention because the 1984 D Washington quarter could be hiding in plain sight. The 1984 D Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, which is identified by the small d mint mark located on the front of the coin, just to the right of George Washington's ponytail ribbon. The obverse features the timeless portrait of America's first president, George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. while the reverse displays the classic American eagle with its wings spread wide, holding arrows and olive branches. This iconic design remained in circulation for decades before it was replaced by the State Quarter Series in 1999, making the 1984 D quarter part of the final years of one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. More than 676 million Washington quarters were produced at the Denver Mint in 1984, making this issue very common in circulation. Because of its high mintage, most worn examples are still worth only their face value of 25 cents. At first glance, that may seem disappointing, but experienced collectors know that mintage numbers tell only part of the story. The true value of a coin depends on several important factors, including its condition, strike quality, rarity in high grades, and the possibility of mint errors or unusual varieties. Condition is one of the biggest reasons why some 1984 D quarters are worth significantly more than others. Coins that spent years in circulation usually show scratches, worn details, dull surfaces, and flattened designs. These examples are common and generally have little collector value. Professional grading services evaluate coins using the Sheldon grading scale, which ranges from Poor 1 to Mint State 70. While many uncirculated 1984 D quarters exist, examples grading MS 67 or higher are surprisingly scarce. This is because tiny contact marks from storage, transportation, and handling prevent most coins from achieving elite grades. Collectors seeking registry quality sets compete for these finest known examples, often driving auction prices much higher than many people expect for a modern quarter. Another feature that collectors carefully examine is the quality of the strike. Even though millions of quarters were struck in Denver during 1984, not every coin was produced with the same level of detail. Some pieces exhibit weakly struck hair above Washington's forehead, soft lettering, or less defined eagle feathers on the reverse. Coins displaying exceptionally sharp details throughout both sides are much more attractive to collectors and often command premium prices. Mint errors represent another exciting possibility. During the minting process, mechanical problems occasionally created unusual coins that escaped quality inspection and entered circulation. One of the most popular error types is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet is not perfectly aligned inside the press before being struck. Depending on how far off-center the design appears and whether the date remains visible, these coins can be worth many times their face value. Double-struck quarters are another fascinating error variety. These coins receive more than one strike from the dies, creating overlapping or shifted images. Every double-struck coin is unique, making these mistakes especially interesting to collectors. Strong examples with clearly visible doubling often attract significant attention whenever they appear on the collector market. Die cracks are also worth watching for. As production dies age, they can develop cracks that transfer raised lines onto the finished coins. Some die cracks are small and barely noticeable, while others become dramatic enough to form unusual patterns across the coin surface. Collectors often enjoy identifying and studying these die varieties because they reveal the natural where experienced by minting equipment during large production runs. Another unusual error is a broad strike. This occurs when the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin fails during striking. Without the collar, the metal spreads outward, producing a coin that is wider than normal and lacks its standard reeded edge. Broad-struck quarters are immediately recognizable and are highly collectible because they demonstrate a rare malfunction during the minting process. Perhaps the rarest and most valuable mistakes involve wrong planchet errors. Occasionally, a quarter design is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination or even a foreign coin. These remarkable minting errors are extremely uncommon and have sold for impressive prices because of their rarity and unusual appearance. If a 1984 D quarter seems unusually small, light, or made from an unexpected metal, it deserves closer examination by an expert. Collectors should also pay attention to double die varieties. Unlike machine doubling, which usually adds little value, A genuine double die is created during the die manufacturing process and appears consistently on every coin struck from that die. Careful examination under magnification may reveal doubling on the date, lettering, or other design elements. Authentic double die coins are eagerly sought by specialists because they represent true die varieties rather than simple production imperfections. One mistake that many new collectors make is cleaning their coins. It may seem logical to polish an old quarter until it shines, but doing so usually destroys much of its collector value. Cleaning leaves microscopic scratches, removes the original mint surface, and permanently changes the coin's appearance. Professional collectors almost always prefer coins with untouched original surfaces, even if they appear slightly toned or less brilliant than cleaned examples. Proper storage is equally important. Coins should be handled only by their edges to avoid fingerprints and oils damaging the surfaces. Protective holders, archival quality flips, or coin capsules help preserve condition for future generations. Environmental factors, such as humidity and excessive heat, can also affect long-term preservation, making proper storage an essential part of collecting. Although the 1984 D Washington quarter is not considered rare by mintage alone, exceptional examples continue to surprise collectors. Certified coins with outstanding strike quality, beautiful luster, and virtually flawless surfaces have achieved impressive auction prices. Likewise, dramatic mint errors remain highly desirable because every example tells a unique story about the minting process and the rare mistakes that occasionally occur during mass production. One reason collectors enjoy searching for the 1984 D quarter is its accessibility. Unlike many expensive rare coins locked away in museum collections, this quarter can still be found in circulation, old coin jars, estate collections, bank rolls, and forgotten drawers. That possibility keeps the excitement alive because anyone has a chance to make an unexpected discovery without spending a fortune. If you own a 1984 D Washington quarter, take a few moments to inspect it carefully. Look for bright original luster, crisp lettering, strong feather details on the eagle, and any unusual characteristics such as doubling, off-center strikes, die cracks, or other mint errors. Comparing your coin with normal examples can help identify differences that may increase its value. If you believe your quarter has exceptional quality or a genuine mint error, having it authenticated and graded by a respected professional grading service may be a worthwhile investment. The 1984 D Washington quarter reminds us that collecting is about much more than face value. Every coin carries a story of American history, craftsmanship, and the possibility of hidden rarity. While millions of these quarters were produced, only a tiny percentage remain in extraordinary condition or display remarkable minting errors. Those are the coins that collectors eagerly pursue and are often willing to pay substantial premiums to own. The next time you receive change from a cashier, empty an old piggy bank, or sort through a forgotten coin collection, don't overlook the humble quarter. One careful inspection could reveal a 1984 D Washington quarter with exceptional preservation or a rare mint error that transforms an ordinary 25-cent coin into a highly desirable collectible. In the fascinating world of numismatics, remarkable discoveries often begin with the coins that everyone else ignores, and your next great treasure could already be waiting in the palm of your hand.